Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I read the prayers. So I need 2 volunteers from this side who can read. Start with, after the prayers, after the Mahamantra, start with the paragraph. Bhagavad-Gita is also known as Gita Upanishad. Can I have 2? And then the next paragraph will be the spirit of Bhagavad-Gita is mentioned in Bhagavad-Gita itself. So who's going to do the first paragraph? Anybody? Babu? Can you do? Okay, and then well, let's get the second person. Who else would like to read? Would you like to read? Do you have a book? Babu? Abi?
No.
You can borrow somebody's book? Read. Okay, so Prabhu, you read the first paragraph.
Bhagavad-Gita is also known as the Preface. It is the essence of Vedic knowledge and one of the most important Upanishads in Vedic literature. Of course, there are many commentaries in English on the Bhagavad-Gita, and one may question the necessity for another one. This present edition can be explained in the following ways. Recently, an American lady asked me to recommend an English translation of the Bhagavad-Gita. Of course, in America, there are so many editions of Bhagavad-Gita available in English. But as far as I have seen, not only in America, but also in India, none of them can be strictly said to be authoritative, because in almost every one of them, the commentator has expressed his own opinion without touching the spirit of the
We don't have a mic, do we, for the audience to hear, the ones who are listening. There's no mic for the devotees to speak into, huh? Okay. Abi, Prabhu, you want to read the next paragraph?
Which one?
The spirit of Bhagavad-Gita.
The spirit of Bhagavad-Gita is mentioned in Bhagavad-Gita itself. It is just like this. If we want to take a particular medicine, then we have to follow the directions written on the label. We cannot take medicine according to our own whim or the direction of a friend. It must be taken according to the directions on the label or the directions given by a physician. Similarly, Bhagavad-Gita should be taken or accepted as it is directed by the speaker himself. The speaker of Bhagavad-Gita is Lord Shri Krishna. He is mentioned on every page of Bhagavad-Gita as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. Of course, the word Bhagavan sometimes refers to any powerful person or any powerful demigod, and certainly here Bhagavan designates Lord Shri Krishna as a great personality. But at the same time, we should know that Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as is confirmed by all great acharyas, spiritual masters like Sankaracharya, Ramanuja Acharya, Madhvacharya, Nimbarka Swami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and many other authorities of Vedic knowledge in India. The Lord himself also establishes himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the Bhagavad-Gita, and he is accepted as such in the Brahma Samhita and all the Puranas, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Bhagavad Purana, Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. Therefore, we should take Bhagavad-Gita as it is directed by the personality of Godhead himself. In the 4th chapter of the Gita, 4.1 to 3, the Lord says, I'll read the Sanskrit and then ask you. Imam Vishwastate Yogam Proktavan Aham Avyayam Vivasvan Manave Praha Manur Ikshvakave Bravit Evam Parampara Praptam Imam Raja Shayo Vidu Sakale Neha Mahata Yogo Nasta Prarantapa Sa Evayam Mayate Dya Yoga proktaha puratana bhaktosi me sakacheti rahasyam hyetad uttamam.
Okay, you want to read next? You can start where he left off. Here the Lord informs Arjuna.
Here the Lord informs Arjuna that this system of yoga, the Bhagavad-Gita, was first spoken to the sun god, and the sun god explained it to Manu, and Manu explained it to Ikshvaku. And in that way, by the cyclic succession, one speaker after another, this yoga system has been coming down. But in the course of time, it has become lost. Consequently, the Lord has to speak it again, this time to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra.
Okay, one other Vaishnavi. You want?
He says Arjuna that he is relating the supreme secret to him because Arjuna is his devotee and his friend. The purpose of this is that Bhagavad-Gita is a treatise which is especially meant for the devotee of the Lord. There are three classes of transcendentalists, namely the Jnani, the Yogi, and the Bhakta, are the impersonalist, the meditator, and the devotee. Here the Lord clearly tells Arjuna that he is making him the first receiver of a new parampara, this split section, because the whole section is broken. It was the Lord's wish to establish another parampara in the same line of thought that was coming down from the sun god to others. And it was his wish that his teaching be distributed anew by Arjuna. He wanted Arjuna to become the authority in understanding the Bhagavad-Gita. So we see that Bhagavad-Gita is instructed to Arjuna, especially because Arjuna was a devotee of the Lord, a direct student of Krishna, and his intimate friend. Therefore, Bhagavad-Gita is best understood by a person who has qualities similar to Arjuna. That is to say, he must be a devotee in a direct relationship with the Lord. As soon as one becomes a devotee of the Lord, he also has a direct relationship with the Lord. That is a very elaborate subject matter, but brief can be stated that a devotee is in a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in one of 5 different ways.
Okay, Hari Bhakti, you want to read the last? No, you don't want. You can read.
One may be a devotee in a passive state. One may be a devotee in an active state. One may be a devotee as a friend. One may be a devotee as a parent. One may be a devotee as a conjugal lover. Arjuna was in relationship with the Lord as a friend. Of course, there is a gulf of difference between this friendship and the friendship found in the material world. This is transcendental friendship, which cannot be had by everyone. Of course, everyone has a particular relationship with the Lord, and the relationship is evoked by the perfection of devotional service. But in the present status of our life, not only have we forgotten the Supreme Lord, but we have forgotten our eternal relationship with the Lord. Every living being out of many, many billions and trillions of living beings has a particular relationship with the Lord eternally. That is called Swarupa. By the process of devotional service, one can revive that Swarup, and that stage is called Swarup Siddhi, perfection of one's constitutional position. So Arjun was a devotee, and he was in touch with the Supreme Lord in friendship.
Okay, thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So what I'd like to do is to briefly talk about from the beginning, before we get to the introduction. I'd like to kind of review. And I particularly wanted to speak about the contents, the listed contents, talk about again, review the setting of the scenes and the preface, and then come back, and I'll start talking about, first I want to talk about why we do the prayers, before we give a class. I'd like to talk about that. So Prabhupada said, that we should know, the books, the Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, as well as, especially the Gita, as well as a lawyer knows his law books. Because, when a lawyer goes into court, he may have a case that sets a precedent. It means that there was one case before then, but he has to surpass that case. He has to prove that his case is different, and is more elevated than what was done before. So this is, it can be applied, to the Gita, that the Gita, as it is, surpasses any other book, Gita written, and there's so many translations, both in India, written mostly by impersonalists and mostly by persons, as Prabhupada says here, mostly by persons who are doing it for their own, personal aggrandizement. They want to be the one to, have the perfect translation of the Gita, or the easiest for people to understand, or even to the point that after reading the whole Gita, they still don't get the point. They don't get who is the Supreme Personality. They never get to that point because they're too wrapped up in themselves, being the center of attention and being recognized for doing the Gita. So of course they can't find Krishna in the Gita, even though he's mentioned it's himself speaking, but they have no access to it. So I was thinking about the case that in the disciples' pastimes of Srila Prabhupada, they were arrested. And so some of the devotees went to Srila Prabhupada to tell him, like they're in jail, they're giving, you have to have what do they call it? They can't even get out. They have to be there for a certain day. They're picked up for chanting in the streets. And so Prabhupada told one of the disciples to just take those books and give them to the judge to read. So if you're giving the Gita, to someone who has a position like a judge or a professor or whatever, it has to be structured in the same way that they can, see the benefits of it, So the first thing that's in the Bhagavad Gita, which is on the, on the first couple of pages, are critics, who are praising the Gita, and they're like persons who have certain positions, from colleges or religious organizations, or they're lawyers themselves, or those who are associated with political studies, like that. So to give it to someone like a judge, and he reads that first, then, of course he can see, the validity that he's getting so many, praises from these different people that the judges will recognize. I mean, it doesn't matter to us because we're devotees. We accept the Bhagavad Gita as given to us by Prabhupada and by our spiritual masters. But when you're dealing with, the people in the world, the material people with the material brain, you have to have these things. You have to have some layout, that they recognize. That they'll say, oh, this person said this about this book, so let me try to look at it. Actually, the judge did read it, and he dismissed the case. He let all the devotees free because he read the book and appreciated the book and appreciated, what he had all the ones who were saying, I think it's called the foreword, people who give their opinions and why you should read the book and like that. So I wanted to talk about... And also, sometimes even amongst ourselves, sometimes we may think it's too technical. Sometimes it's hard to go through things like the Srimad Bhagavatam, which gives a whole historical analysis, of the names and the dynasties, and, it's long like that. Or, like, even I've heard some say, about the first chapter, what's the use of all these names? We don't know the people, all these warriors who were in the battle, but we need to know who they were. I think last year, the year before, I did a class on each and every person almost the major ones who were involved in this battle, and they're all great personalities, very strong warriors. So it's important to know, because that way we can see, who is the opposition, the persons who are fighting against, and what a great battle it was. It wasn't an ordinary battle. It wasn't ordinary because Krishna was there, that's number one. Krishna was in front, but still all these warriors, were very strong, warriors. And they each had, they were assigned either they were Rati or Atirata, or they could kill so many. I don't know if any of you were here when I was giving the class, but how many warriors they can kill at a time like that, So they were great warriors. So that way we need to know there's nothing in the Gita that is ordinary. And Prabhupada included everything, it's just amazing how Prabhupada was so perfect in everything that he did. He thought about everything, and he covered everything. There's nothing that's missing. He said we can discuss this book from every angle. So Prabhupada didn't leave out anything. There's nothing left out. Sometimes you hear devotees say, well, Prabhupada didn't give us everything. That person doesn't know anything. If he says Prabhupada didn't give us everything, because he gave us everything from A to Z. Nothing is missing. We just have to advance in our spiritual life to really understand everything that he's given. And maybe then we might not understand, So I wanted to talk about okay, in the beginning, even the contents, all the listing of the different chapters, and there's a synopsis. A synopsis is just a small little wording of what's actually contained in the chapter, what it covers. So anybody open it and they're looking for something, like sometimes if we're trying to find something, some subject matter or something we're trying to remember, like sometimes I think, oh, there's a verse I want to remember, but I have to think logically, where would it be? In what chapter would that particular thing that I'm looking for be? What does it pertain to? And sometimes I don't remember, but there are times when I look and I think, oh, I found it, I found what it was because of the listing, because of the title of the chapter. I can see what it's related to. So that is also important. And also, if anybody asks us about any of the chapters, we should all know the titles of each chapter. If somebody comes and asks you, what's the name of chapter 15, or what's the name of chapter 9, or what's the title of chapter, we all should know exactly what it is. What is the chapter, the title of the chapter? I used to know because I was studying it more, but still, this is for me too, so I can remind myself to do this, to remember all the chapters. And then when I first got the Gita, I couldn't read it because I didn't understand it. I had never heard of the Mahabharata. I didn't know what it was, until my Guru Maharaj talked about it. But I didn't even know what the Mahabharata was. So, and I didn't read the first thing that said setting the scene. I went all the way to the first chapter, and then it was and which is a lot of people say that's what they do, and they don't understand why is there fighting in the beginning? Because they skipped over everything else and went straight to chapter 1. It's just like people go in the Srimad Bhagavatam, they go to the 10th canto because they want to get to, the pastimes of Krishna, instead of Prabhupada saying start at his feet and then go forward. So in a way, setting the scene gives you the backdrop of why they're on the battlefield and what is exactly taking place. So here it's setting the scene, and this is done by the publishers. It tells you exactly why they're on the battlefield, who's in the battlefield, what was involved, a little bit of historical, history, some history about why this is taking place. Then we go to the preface. Now, the preface is it's like I translated it as a preface. It's like the preface. It's before you see the putting a face to the work. What is the face of the work? Of course, Krishna's back there, but putting a face to the work. And so that means that how can impersonators put a face on the work? Because they're not looking for it. They don't believe that Krishna has a form, so it means he doesn't have a face. So they can only, translate it from their impersonal point of view, as I said, and not get to the point. So they don't believe that Krishna has a form. So the preface is, like kind of a introductory narrative, and the author, tells the readers how and why the book came into being. His reason for authoring the book. And we know it's because all the other ones out there were, useless. No one became a devotee. From reading any of the Gitas that are out there, nobody understood their position as eternal servitors of Krishna. And no devotees were made. This is what Prabhupada said, no devotees were made. So from reading the Gita, nothing came out except, what was the personal interest of the person who authorized it. So Prabhupada, he explains, his reason for authoring the book, why it was necessary. And so it talks directly about the purpose and the creational importance of the book and how it came about. He explains how it came about and what is the main point and why it should be important, for the readers, why it should be important. It's basically the who, when, and where of everything in the preface, And then for the introduction, so the introduction tells you the contents and then the necessity, for the comprehension, And the introduction is distinct enough from the rest of the book that is kept separate. He gives, if you just read the introduction, you get a very clear and solid foundation about what this book covers, what it is about, if you read the introduction. Because sometimes, at least for myself, I know that I might just skip over it. I might just want to go to read further without reading the introduction to really understand what the book is about, So, the introduction is necessary so we can understand, what it's about and the major theme and what are we going to learn from reading the book? What is it we're going to learn? And also, Prabhupada talks about his journey in writing this book and, what he went through to write it and to get it published. And also, he talks about why is this Gita special? Why is it different from every other Gita that's out there? We have to know how to tell people that it's different and how it's different, because they don't really get it unless a devotee explains to them. Because we know that unless they come in contact with a devotee, they're not going to know about the Gita and what's in it. What's the purpose of it? Why they ask, well, why there's so many out there? You see in this paragraph, Prabhupada is saying that one American lady asked me to recommend an English translation of Bhagavad-Gita. And he says, of course, in America, there's so many editions of Bhagavad-Gita available in English, but he said also in India. He was here, but he couldn't get anybody to surrender to him. He had to go to, America, go to the West, to spread his movement, because at that time, India was following whatever the West did, and most of the world was following what the West did. So because he wasn't getting any success here, then he decided, well, let me go there. Because the world was just full of impersonalism, whether it was here or in the West. Or they didn't understand that Krishna is the Supreme Person of Godhead. He's the original cause of all causes. It's not that Vishnu is the one and that Krishna came from Vishnu. It's just the other way around. So the spirit of the Gita needs to be told. And he talks about any problems he had in the writing and distributing it as such. So then I want to next cover about why do we do prayers? What's the reason for prayers? Can someone give me some input? Why they think we pray before we read the scriptures?
We seek blessings from our acharyas.
Yes.
That we can understand this morning.
Yes. And it's not just a ritual. It has to be done from the heart, sincerely from the heart, because, this is sort of like sitting on the Vyasasana. Anytime we are speaking about the sacred text, we have to seek help from the Lord. We have to pray to him beforehand. We have to seek blessings from the devotees. We have to seek blessings from the previous acharyas. So all of these prayers are mentioning all the previous acharyas and seeking blessings and also giving respects to all. So we should read it. Actually, when I was at the Guru Puja this morning too, we used to, they don't do it here in this temple, but after we do the Guru Puja, we usually recite the English version of the Guru Puja, because then it refreshes our mind to exactly what are we saying about this whole line of gurus. What are we doing? How are we praising them? What are we saying? So it's nice to read the English translation too, to remind ourselves that it's just not, okay, we're just going to do the Guru Puja song, but the meaning behind it, the real sweetness of it, the sweetness of praising the spiritual master and what he's done for us. It's really nice to remember. So I was listening to a class by Radhanath Maharaj, and he also talks in this class about prayers. And he was saying that, he himself says it's not a ritual, and we should say it all with sincerity. And then with the knowledge that we are not the doer. We know that in 327, what does it say? Does anybody know? What is 327? What does it say? Yes. No, it's Prakriti Kriyamani, Ganai Kamani Savasaha Ahankara Vimudatma. Kartaham iti manyate. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. And so he was speaking to this about not thinking that we know. We don't know anything. We're just tiny sparks of Krishna. Tiny sparks of Krishna. He's Vibhu and we're Anu. So Maharaj was saying that who in this world is not in the jaws of death? He gave the example of Gajendra, who was, whose leg was being held in the jaws of a crocodile. So that's all of us. We're in this material world and we're, suffering the threefold miseries. And none of us is exempt. So we shouldn't neglect the concentration on the essence. And the essence is we want to transform ourselves. We want to transform our characters. We want to become humble and compassionate instruments of the Lord. So whatever devotional service we're doing, Krishna's merciful to us. We're not the doers. He's using us as an instrument, to do whatever we're doing, to serve him, to show us how to serve him. And then we should recite the prayers with sincere desire in the heart, seeking the shelter of the spiritual energy of the Lord. And we're seeking how we're getting the spiritual energy is by chanting, because if you're not chanting and you're doing service, I've heard it was asked, one disciple of Srila Prabhupada asked Srila Prabhupada, I don't know if it was Hamsadutta or one of those, asked him, if we're not chanting and we're doing devotional service, what does it mean? It means it's not devotional service. You're gaining karma. You're doing the service, but if you're not chanting, because the chanting is to purify the service that you're doing. You have to chant to purify the service. It's not that you can just do the service without chanting. Everything's to purify us, to bring us to a higher level. Prasadam is to purify us. It's for the spiritual body. It's to develop the spiritual body. That's why we have prasadam. That's why we're in this bubble of protection by Krishna. He's protecting us to bring us higher. We just have to follow. We follow the 4 principles. We take prasadam only. We chant. We do all the 9 processes. It's all outlined for us. We do the processes to spiritualize our body. Because in Srimad Bhagavatam, I can't remember which canto, but it said that the subtle body can be dissolved just by pure devotional service. It can be dissolved by pure devotional service. Because if it's not, if you have material desires, then that subtle body takes you to another body to fulfill your material desires. So we're praying for benediction, but we're not praying for benediction to acquire something except the mercy of the Lord. But we're not wanting, a fine car, a nice wife, a nice wife for my son, or a new car, or a better job, or get that college degree, or get admitted into this college. We're not asking for anything like that. That's business with the Lord. That's not love. That's not developing love. We're supposed to do it without motive. Just because that's our position, just because we want to serve him, just because we need to develop the love for him. That's why we're doing it, because that is our eternal position anyway. We have to come to that position. It has to become natural. I have to go serve the Lord today. And remember him every day. And remember our spiritual master. So he's saying that we have to learn the proper way of praying in the Spirit. And then we can, invoke the mercy of the Lord within our lives and all of our activities. I'm always, when in my class, I'm always talking about prayers, because for myself, I feel like I have to pray every day. I have to ask the Lord for mercy. Otherwise, because we all know it can be very difficult, to try to, if the mind goes in all kind of different directions. We have to pray to the Lord to, please, I need your mercy. I'm struggling with either with my sadhana or, remembering you or trying to serve you or controlling my mind. Please help me chant better rounds. Please help me focus. Please help me do it with attention. I want to do it. The desire is there to do it. But I need your mercy in order to do it. I can't do it on my own. And Prabhupada did so many prayers. We can read about, one sadhu was hearing someone crying in the courtyard. I think it was at the Radha Damodar temple. And they went down to see who was crying. And it was Prabhupada. He was praying to Rupa Goswami, and he was sweeping and he was crying. Praying to help me do this service that my spiritual master has given me. Because I'm unable. And he said that throughout his whole journey to the West. Imagine having heart attacks, while he was on his way to do that service. Having a heart attack. 2 of them. I think he had 3.
2 on the
He had 2 on the way, but he had 1 later.
Yes, in the end stage.
Yes. So, his surrender, excuse me, to his spiritual master is very deep. But it didn't faze him. He just was one-pointed focus. I just want to serve my spiritual master. And that's why he was so successful. And his health was, most of the time, I just heard him give a lecture saying that his health wasn't very good the whole time. But it didn't stop him from wanting to serve his spiritual master, wanting to be successful for his spiritual master, to fulfill his spiritual master's desire. And just see, we have so many beautiful temples all over the world. Who can do that? Prabhupada actually is the greatest personality and most magnanimous on the whole, who's on the face of the earth. Because who's doing that? Who has that kind of love for the living entities? To sacrifice your health, but to still give love to everybody and try to give them this message that he came to bring, that Krishna is the Supreme Person of Godhead and you should surrender to him. No one's doing that. We can see the world is going to hell in a handbasket right now, But Prabhupada gave us everything. And my appreciation for Prabhupada increases every day. Because it's just, to me, it's just mind-boggling. I feel when I go to Guru Puja, I feel so enthusiastic because I'm like, Prabhupada, you did such an amazing service. Such an amazing service. And if you read his prayers, when he landed, in the West, his prayer, like, how am I going to make them understand this? How can I? It's the same way when you give class or, anything you're doing, like, you're like, how can I be an instrument and give the message, Krishna, that you want me to give, not my own ego or falsely thinking, I'm the doer or I'm going to do this. There's no I in there. It's all Krishna. It's all Krishna. So that's why we have to pray to him. Please help me. Give whatever message you want me to give. Sometimes my Guru Maharaj would plan a class, and then after the class he would say, well, that wasn't what I planned to give, but Krishna must have wanted, whatever I was giving. He must have wanted me to give this. That wasn't my plan. He had his already written out, but he gave something different. Well, that's Krishna. He was just a servant of Krishna. He's going to do whatever Krishna, gives him in his heart to maybe someone wants to hear this. This was a message that was given. So we have all the non-processes. There's no reason, why, we can't be successful in our quest to reach Krishna, to reach the goal. So we just want to kick the false ego out of the picture and become, like it said here, where am I? Introduction. We want to become in a relationship with Krishna. We want to know, what is our eternal position in the spiritual world? And if we purify ourselves, then it can be revealed to us, but we have to purify ourselves to know that. He's saying every living being out of the many, many billions and trillions of living entities, everyone has a particular relationship with the Lord eternally. And it's nice to know because, you know, even when you're in the temple and there's zillions of people there, or, you know, it's so packed, but you know that Krishna knows that you're there. He knows that you're there amongst all the, you know, whoever's there. He knows each and every person that's in that temple. He knows what they're thinking. He knows their heart. So he knows each and every one of us personally. And that's sweet to know. When I used to drive when I was in the U.S., and there was a huge highway and it was packed, people going to work. It was crazy. And I would be thinking, Krishna sees me. He knows me. He knows me, you know, even though there's so many other people, but Krishna knows me. And so to end this class, I want to read this verse that I came across in the Srimad Bhagavatam that I just meditated. I've been meditating on ever since I read it. I just thought it was so sweet. It's in the 3rd canto, chapter 28, text 32. This is Kapila's instructions on devotional service. But this one really struck me when I'm contemplating, you know, about Krishna and his attention to the living entities. And it says, the yogis, and that's us, we're all trying to be bhakti-yogis, trying to develop love for Krishna. It says the yogis should contemplate with full devotion the compassionate glances frequently cast by the Lord's eyes. For they soothe the most fearful, threefold agonies of his devotees. His glances, accompanied by loving smiles, are full of abundant grace. I just think it's so beautiful. It's so nice to meditate on this. And we can find so much in the Srimad Bhagavatam that we can meditate on and feel encouraged by. 3:28:31. The yogis should contemplate with full devotion the compassionate glances frequently cast by the Lord's eyes. For they soothe the most fearful threefold agonies of his devotees. His glances, accompanied by loving smiles, are full of abundant grace. So if we can get Krishna to smile on us once, we'll be very successful. So I want to end the class here. And thank you all for your kind attention. And if there's any questions or criticisms or corrections, please, I'd like to hear.
If we refer to his signature of Srila Prabhupada, it is so unique and special as well.
Yes, the signature. Thank you for noticing. Yes, the signature. I think there was an astrologer who said something about his signature.
Yeah.
Yes, you know, it's very distinct.
If the pen, you know, touches the paper, it starts and ends in the end after 20 letters. If you are capital letters in between.
Oh, it's so beautiful, yes. It's true. I used to do office work and I used to translate all the time for the people I work for, but I don't think I could. If I look, and you know, like you translate for doctors too, and their writing is really horrendous. It's hard to understand, you know. But this one I definitely couldn't read, but it's very beautiful. Thank you for noticing that. Any questions? Any critiques? Anyone? Yes, Babu.
Thank you very much for the wonderful, especially realization of Prabhupada. I would request, please bless us all.
I need blessings. Ooh, please, everybody shower me with blessings. Yes.
Just adding your point, like this Bhagavad-Gita or any transcendental book, we pray before speaking. There's a principle also behind that. Definitely you have to get blessing also, but principle is that this is descending knowledge.
Yes, you're
It's not
right.
like you can
Yes.
read and
Thank you.
so it is.
Thank you for bringing up that point. It's true.
It's descending. You have
It's
to-
descending.
And every day in Guru Puja, as you say, these words comes every day.
Yes.
Divya Gyan Hridaya Prakashita. It's like a transcendental knowledge will be revealed in the heart. It's not through the
It's not, yes, it's not this. You can remember all the slokas, you can remember, but unless you have that mercy coming down, oh, you won't be able to do it. Anyone else? Yes.
One more thing, like about the pastimes of Prabhupada, as you said, I'm just adding in that. Like Prabhupada was not successful in India or Bharatvarsh because this was a plan of Krishna.
Yes.
He was trying, Krishna wanted to show for coming generations. Like Prabhupada was in such a difficult situations and he never left. Because Krishna takes always his pure devotees in his pastimes. He never take any conditioned soul in his pastimes.
No.
Pure devotee. So those who are in Krishna's pastimes. So through Prabhupada he wanted to show coming generation.
Yes.
You don't have any excuse not to preach.
Yes. Yes, because you see so many examples in the scriptures. The Pandavas, they were staunch devotees of the Lord, and look what they went through. Prahlad Maharaj. The scriptures are full of them, it's true. Thank you for that point. Yes.
Prabhupada, by his own example, showed that he preached, went to America and this and that.
Yes.
So any even what old persons are sitting in this
Yes.
Bhagavad-Gita class, they should also take preaching. It's not that, okay, I'm retired in Vrindavan, nothing, okay, I will come every day, morning program, evening program, and sit in home.
No, but Vrindavan is either for you to leave your body or to preach, do service. There's only two, service or go home. Try to go home, back to Godhead. But definitely, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming to the Gita class. Hare Krishna.